I know, it's a mess. I'm in the process of starting to go through things before I move. Anyway, sorry, it's been a while since I recorded. I've been pretty busy getting some reading done and some reviews done for y'all. So that's what's taken so long. Let's talk about Deeper Than Hell by Joshua Milliken. Deeper Than Hell is about Sonny. Sonny is a heroin addict in Las Vegas. He has a friend named Drew. They're both addicted to heroin. Drew has all these theories about civilizations under the city. In fact, under the earth, basically. Just way underground, all these things. And at the deepest part, Xanadu, a place where they'll feel no pain. When Drew tries to swindle a local heroin dealer, they are forced to flee underground, and there Drew must go on a twisted quest. That's a way of putting it. Deeper Than Hell is an interesting book. It's Joshua Milliken's first book he's written. He was a known journalist in the horror community, and I've read quite a few first novels, and most of them aren't as solid as this. Deeper Than Hell is really interesting. It's first person, which normally we all know is not my thing. We all remember the Heir to the Jedi review. First person's hard to do well, and Joshua Milliken does a pretty good job explaining a junkie's perspective on things and all the sorts of hell that this poor guy goes through, from just physical torture to like psychological torture. It's just all sorts of weird things happen in this book. And I said in the Christian Francis books, the Animus Chronicles, those are some of the gnarliest things I've read in a while. This takes the cake as the gnarliest thing I think I've ever read that was actually readable. There are some things that are so graphic it takes you out of it and you're like, oh no, I'm not reading this. This is just exploitive and gross. But Joshua Milliken rides that line really well. There were times where I'm like, okay, this is a bit too much for me, but that really comes to personal taste. I'm not into like torture horror. Like, I'm not into the Saw or the Hostel thing. But it shows that Joshua really knows his stuff when it comes to horror. There's all sorts of references to different horror stories that feel nice. There's references to just other things in general. And Drew is a fun character. He's Sonny's guide through all of this. I won't explain how entirely, but there's an interesting twist with it. But this is one of those books where it's arguable that the narrator isn't all there, and it's not accurate. Because there's some really weird things in this that don't make a lot of sense and are not explained, which works and doesn't work. The ending is my only problem with this book. So it does two things. It over-explains and doesn't explain. And I can't get into detail because this is one of those things you have to sort of witness to like understand. But there's a lot of explainy, but it doesn't really, in my opinion, it didn't quite make sense. And I don't think it was supposed to. And then we have an epilogue with a different character that honestly I think shouldn't be in this book. That's my big complaint. I don't think the epilogue should be there necessarily. It's nice, it's fine, but it just feels like an afterthought. Like you wrote it out and then you're like, I guess I need to put another chapter in to explain things. But with that being said, I think this is a solid read. It creeped me out through the whole thing. It did its job. And it did it pretty well. I was pretty engaged with this. Honestly, Encyclopocalypse, thank you for sending this. I really appreciate it. And you can pre-order this. This comes out on the 14th. And I highly recommend you do that. I give this a solid 4.5 out of 5. I'm not a big fan of the last chapter and just the ending explanation, but the ride there is really, really good. Or I should say lack of explanation. Or is there an explanation? That's a real good question. I'll let you all be the judge of that. I have read far worse first author novels than this. So check this out. You can pre-order it on Amazon. It comes out on the 14th. Also, tomorrow morning, why don't you go check out my channel? Because I'm going to have Joshua Milliken on there. We're going to have a nice interview like I did with Christian Francis. I think you guys will enjoy it. Anyway, have a good one.